Hey, what's going on, everyone? And welcome to the Deceptilab, and welcome to my weekly live stream. We got some stuff to catch up on today. I mean, I missed last week. I actually had a really hectic work week last week, so that kind of took me out of it for a week. But still some topics I want to cover going back to last week, and that helps that we had some changes to the combats that came out last week. So I can talk about that a little bit since I didn't get to talk about it last week. We'll get into that. We'll also get into there is a defensive prime core out there that was a little under the radar for a little bit, and I want to show some tips and tricks for that, just for both sides really, how to approach it offensively and how you can maximize it defensively. And I actually had started making a video for it the other day. I just never had enough time last week to edit it, so we'll talk about that. And of course, Space Ape gave us the go ahead today to, as content creators, to talk about the new endurance bots that are going to be coming out in a couple of weeks. So it's going to be for us, Scylla on the Decepticon side and Ariel on the Autobot side. So we'll go ahead and take a look at that, give you a first look of the new endurance bots. And I gotta tell you, right out the gate, I'm really pleased with how these bots turned out. There might be some minor tweaks later on, but we'll talk about that also. But before we do any of that, let's go ahead and take a look at this week and the newsletter. All right. So this week's event is called To Rise Again. It is going to be an individual totalizer. There was another vote for this, and the vote was either to go for 20K or 35K. After last week's event, I think most players just wanted to go ahead and do something a little bit shorter, but that has been the cause of a lot of controversy lately, excuse me. In terms of whether we should be voting for events, period. Now, I'll probably break out later on, probably not on this live stream, and give my thoughts on that. But I am happy to have the 20,000K event. And it's pretty basic stuff that for this point in the saga. You got 2,500 4-star shards, 7,500 3-star shards, 30K premiums, a G metal, 3 gold power cores. You get 5 of your 500K Troop XP items, War for Cybertron skin core, 300K Spark. I'm starting to see Spark starting to go up a little bit in the event, so that's good. And then you get 20 million in your Alloy, 20 million in your Energon, which, you know, is always good because I still got upgrades going for HQ18 Phase 2, so. Typical prize shards and battle zones. And this is what we're probably going to start out talking about, because the game updates and information, they're talking about Kunai and Bido. And honestly, all through playtest, the entire time we were saying, hey, this combat's a little underwhelming. Obviously, it got released last week into the in the event, so you can get your 2, 3, and 4 stars. But what we really wanted in playtest was to make it a little bit more specific to Wheeljack and Shockwave, and it would be something that lines up a little bit better with the lore. And so they changed the value. So when you use these bots, the old values for 2-star, if you use it on Wheeljack and Shockwave, you got 2.5%. And then I'm not going to read the whole list, but then you can see for the 5-star, you got 10%. Instead, the new values are going to be starting at the 2-star at 5%, and then it's going to go up to 30% for when that 5-star finally enters the batch. So I hadn't got to test this myself yet, but it's definitely going to be something that's worth the time. I think it's going to be a really good combat bot. But you know, I kind of like the combat as it was, and we'll talk about healers as a whole, because I think that we might be looking at it wrong a little bit in terms of healers. I think we're looking at too much at raw healing as opposed to what makes them unique. Cyberpass Season 15. They already got the charts for it. The Cyber Pass skins are going to be Cosmos for the Autobot side and Mind Wipe for the Decepticon side. It's one of the few times it's a rarity, but I actually like the Mind Wipe skin. And so yeah, I actually like that one better. Usually I think the Autobots usually get the better skins, but I think we get the better one this time. All right, so another controversy today. The saga schedules. Ape's been playing around with that a little bit. And so they're gonna start entering some 2 million point events in here. So there's gonna be one apparently next week, and then there's gonna be another one the 2nd and through 5th of June. I think that's pushing it a little bit too much. I think it's putting us in a position where we're gonna have to start moving every other week in order to get the rewards and complete the events. I'm not a huge fan of it. I do have some ideas that I wouldn't mind presenting to Space Ape, but as it currently stands, a couple of playtesters and a couple of people in the alliance, the Alliance Council, have been making proposals, and it just doesn't seem to be going in the direction that most players are seeming to ask for. So we'll see how it works out, but that's a sample of what the schedule is looking like for the next saga. But there will be lots of Prime Core shards, 5-star shards, and stuff like that. So we will see how that goes. I do see, I mean, that's 4th of July weekend. I see they got a 1 mil, so we'll see how that goes, but that's not too bad. Premium Crystal update. Roadbuster and Half Shell will be permanently added to premium character crystals. I already got the 4-star. I got mine from the event, but for those who don't, those will be available on tomorrow, so Thursday, 27th of April. And honestly, man, that's one of those bots that if you use it specifically for the purpose it was designed for, you can use a 4-star and you can use it in high level wars. So good luck to you guys that have been saving your premiums. And then you have the 30k that you can add on this weekend to try to go and crack some crystals and see if these guys pop out. As always, check out your official content creators. Now be Engineer Horse, myself, Soldier, and Sunshrika Waza. If you guys hadn't seen already, Sunshrika Waza, myself, and Tex just did, and Grind Time got him a chance to make it in this one. New Unpopular Opinion series, really good series, and Waza really did his damn good job editing this time. So those videos are out, check those out as well. Some pretty sick artwork in the community corner. Might have to go steal some of these sometimes and use it as a thumbnail at some point. And then apparently there's a bug fixing for Impactor. I guess when there are different aerial bots that when they are different air class bots. I don't want to say aerial bots because that's a whole different thing. And there was a bug when Impactor was following some of these bots around. That's been fixed. It'll be with the patch tomorrow. And then next Space Ape stream is going to be the 11th of May. And that concludes the news. All right, so I see a lot of chatting going on in here. Let's take a look and see who's in the chat. Let's see, I got my good friend Chris Harmon, one of my playtester buddies as well. Thanks for joining. Another good friend of mine, Lord Avix, in there. My moderator and fellow content creator, Mercenary Terror. If you guys hadn't seen this stuff, you got a lot of really good stuff, man. And they got a lot more subscribers than I do, so he must be really good. So check him out. Let's see, and I'm gonna go back to the lab while I'm looking at this. Let's see, got my really good friend Trap in the chat. So thanks for joining. You could actually make it to see me live this time. Matt Poley is in there. My favorite content creators in the chat, and that's Deception to Punish and Enslave. So thanks for joining. Sir Soundwave 1590 is in the chat. LJ Gav. Let's see. Kill Cannon is in the chat. Thanks for joining. Robert C4. I see in there saying a little bit. And let's see who else. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Let's see if we got anybody lurking around. And it looks like that's all we got so far. But cool. So today, and I'm actually going to go over to the battlefield real quick. I got to take a look at these healers, man, because, and it just want to throw my personal opinions out there on these healers, because when we were trying to, in playtest, get together some ideas for this new combat, when we were talking about Kunai and Bido, man, you talking about some tough conversations that we were having in there. You know, I really, really like how it came out. So I'm actually just going to take a look at that first. We'll take a look at what that does. You can actually see that's Bido they got there beside Shockwave. So originally, this was set up, this combat was set up to be exclusive to Shockwave, and you know, Kunai would be exclusive to Wheeljack. And so I'll actually take a look at my Autobots. We'll take a look at him as well. But I'll be honest with you, I didn't really like that idea, man. And the reason why is it's like, all right, so you go into a batch and it's really difficult to go get combat bots. And it's just, man, it sucks to go in there and just get essentially what's going to be a dud for you if you don't have that bot and able to use them in wars. And so we started saying, hey, man, maybe you should make it available to all healers. Space Ape did. You know, a lot of the testers didn't really like that. And you kind of saw that in last week's newsletter. But what the Space Ape decided to do is they decided to make a compromise and give more power to Wheeljack and more power to Shockwave. And what they got, what we should see starting tomorrow, is what is going to be the beginning of a really, really, really good combat, in my opinion. And I think a part of the goal was to, I think a part of the goal was really just to make Wheeljack and Shockwave as good as, try to make them comparable to Flatline and Minerva. Obviously, that is one of the top, well, that is the top healer in the game. But as a lot of people want to use double healers and such, then it gives you an option. But actually, it's going to make them really, really strong. So we'll take a look at that. I see Blue Grimlock, one of my other playtester friends, has joined the chat. Thanks for coming by. And here's the thing. So I don't actually have this bot. Oops. I actually don't have this bot in test. Not the new version that's going to be out tomorrow. However, take a look at some stats a little bit. Because when you look at this bot, so the heal by 15%, that's going to be standard for all with all healers, right? And then the other parts that's going to be standard is every 10 seconds you're going to shoot out your grenade. That's going to give 2 times healing per second. Now, a lot of people don't like it, and you'll see this when I start testing it. A lot of people didn't like that he stops his heal beam to go and do the heal grenade, and that's been the common complaint for a lot of different bots. When you think about, say, G1s for like Thundercracker, for example, and Silverbolt, you know, and they throw like the stun grenade and, you know, just different stuff that they put into the game like that. It's usually not received well, but in this case, I kind of like it. It's giving you 2 times per 2 times healing per second. And here's the thing that I think really makes it unique and makes it a Wheeljack and a Shockwave part combat piece, is that you get the damage increase that's going to go in there. That's going to be a standard 25% for this 5-star for 10 seconds. So this is the part that's going to change. The part that's changing is so that last additional 10%, if you got it hooked up to, if you got Bido on Shockwave, if you got Kunai on Wheeljack, then instead of it being 10% for that 5-star, it's going to actually be 30%. I think that's going to make them really, really good. And when you look at them statistically, so here's Shockwave. Shockwave, when you break down, you know, he starts off at base healing of 362.1 for the maxed out version. Now, when you add in all of this stuff combined, so G1 Shockwave, that's giving you an additional 17.4%, and it's also giving you 10% more attack speed boost. So I think the meta pairing to use for this would be that G1 core. You go back, you use Bido for all the things that I just described. And I think that when you look at them comparatively, now let's take a look at those stats. And let's take a look at flatline stats. So for Flatline and Minerva, this is what the maxed out version looks like without anything on it. So you're talking about topping out right there with nothing on them for 466.4. So we go in there and add, let's say we add Shroot, because one of the things we were talking about in testing was new content being better than old content, and Shroot is what people prefer to use because then you're gonna go have your splash healing. I get it. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Without any bot specific core for Flatline, so then you can have that maxed out ray boosters. And now you're looking at, so 538.7 with that setup. And I actually just got the 5-star Shroot recently, but that's what you're looking at comparatively. So realistically speaking, once we get to the point where this 5 stars in the batch, this makes them really, really good. And we'll take a look at them on the battlefield in a second. Looking in the comments, Trap says it's almost OP on Shock and Wheeljack. Yeah, I mean, I think that was the goal. Now the thing is, I don't know what this is gonna look like after they add that 30%, because they hadn't added that to playtest yet. And let's see. Deception told me he retired from content creating. Yeah, I hadn't seen anything from you in a while. I was going to hit you up and ask you about that, but I said sorry to hear that, because I learned a lot of stuff from you, bro. So, but yeah, I know we talked before about you doing some other stuff. So good luck and those things as well. Deception also says, my only concern about those new combats is that they working shortly after release instead of getting bugged. And yeah, that's always a concern. One of my other good playtester friends, Venger Prime, says he'll be using them, like he said in the newsletter, but he's glad we got the extra buff. And yeah, the extra buff is huge, man. I kind of like the combat. I kind of like the original version. However, I do understand that it needed to get more healing. Because here's my thing. When I look at each one of these healers, I look at Shockwave as kind of the attacking healer. And the reason why I look at it like that is because you got an ability that does a speed boost. You got a G1 core that gives you an attack boost. You got a combat that really buffs up the healing. And I like the concept. Now, values always got to be tweaked. That's all. I don't think it's ever really been a time when I went into playtest and I looked at the values the very first time and I was like, wow, these values are amazing. We always got to play around with that stuff. But from a concept standpoint, from a concept of having this as being the attack boost healer, I instantly understood. And speaking of Devil Sunstreaker, Waza is in the chat. Thanks for joining. LJ Gaff says he actually gives Shockwave, a squad cool to make them live longer. Yeah, you can. It's just I think a lot of it just boils down to deployment and what you have for protection. Obviously, for me, I have Nemesis Prime, so I usually protect my healer that way. But yeah, nah, I do see your point. All right, so I look at it when I break them down in the categories. I look at Flatline is the and Minerva is the just really good overall healer with the ability that you got there that makes that undestructible turret. And then even here, well, that's my 4-star. But with Reflector, one of the things that I always looked at was I always looked at him as actually I want to go to his stats. I always looked at him as the one that you use kind of like for protection, but then FFD came out, so his shields weren't always up, and I kind of justified having the lower healing for that reason, right? Um, to the point that when we were working on ability 11s and tests, like way back when I first started testing, there was an idea to add a third shield. I want to say that was before FFD, so I was like, yeah, man, 3 shields, cool. I had lots of tanks. Now it's gonna have 3 shields. I thought that was gonna be awesome. I wanted to keep that, but then we wind up going with a health boost instead, and you can still see like he's still like the lowest in the other low when it comes to healers and the healing rate. So not used as heavily in wars and Prime League wars. For the longest time, that was like the only healer that I had. It was the only 4-star I had, and when I got the 5-star, like shortly after I maxed the 4-star out, then I wound up using him. So he's still close to my heart. I got him boosted up a little bit higher than this on the live server, but not really in the equation here. My war healer is Hook, and that's just because that's what I got. You know what I mean? I don't got the other healers, but Hook I look at it's kind of like the boost healer that you can use with his healing grenade and stuff like that, and an overall decent healer. So now what I think we'll start seeing, well, what we already see is a lot of people are going to use Minerva, or Flatline Minerva, and then Wheeljack and Shockwave. All right, so let's see. So I see Muhammad Terminator's joint. So thanks for joining. Actually, I'm gonna go into a base trial first so we can actually see this combat in action. And I'll just swap Shockwave in as my healer. And we just want to take a look at his the animations and everything. Deception says Reflector would be nice if his minions would work like healers, protect, shield, and heal bots, which needed front line, not the nearest ones. And that's a good point. That was always one of the things that kind of drove people crazy when dealing with reflectors. Those minions start running around all over the place. So just so we can take a look at the combat in action. So you can see he's using his regular beam, and periodically every 10 seconds, he's going to stop, disconnect, and he's going to throw that grenade out. And that's going to do the 2 times healing, and I just kind of got him up there just to show what it looks like. I'll actually take a look at it in a regular battle here in a second. All right, so let's see. So let's take a look. And this is, like I said, this is the version that was initially released. Well, since it's a 5-star, it wasn't technically released, but this is what we intended to have up there in the very beginning. So let's see how he holds up. Like, this base is an older base, so it doesn't actually have all the prime cores and stuff, even though it's got it as a prime zone base. But yeah, man, like, so yeah, last week I really wanted to stream. I had a lot of stuff I wanted to talk about. And man, like, for those of you who don't know, I work in like aircraft maintenance in real life. And we had a plane that the engine just completely exploded, bro. And so they needed somebody to be in charge of fixing the plane, um, making sure all the repairs got done. Like, it was an investigation. So I was leading an investigation for that last week. And man, like, dude, I worked like 12 hours like every single day last week, except for one, I think. So I was really happy. We just got that fixed last night. So that's why I wasn't able to stream. I was really looking forward to streaming. But this actually brings up, looking at what I got going on right now, this really brings up one of my really good points. As you guys know, if you've been watching my team builds for a little while, I've been really big on individual healing through all the other different combats. And one of the things that entails is using, like, I got Fracus, the 5-star and the 4-star on my teams. I use Singe, regardless of what anybody wants to say about it. I got Singe on my team for Cutthroat. And so individual healing works really well. But what that does for you is that makes your actual healers have to do a little bit less work. They don't have to jump around from one healer to another. So when you think about something potentially being overpowered with this combat bot, if there was one area where I would look at that individual healing piece. But as it currently stands, like, I'm just looking at the regular version of it. I'll have to come back again and circle back around once that 30% is added. But as it stands, I think it's going to be a pretty dope combat. But let me know what you think. And did you pull the 4-star, any of you guys, this weekend? Let me know in the comments. Let's see. Venture Prime says poor first aid has become last aid. I'm sure he'll get something down the line. I love the bots, especially Reflector. Respect for those that still use them at the moment. Yeah, and I gotta agree with you, man. I mean, like, and see, for me, Reflector was one of those bots up there. I really like those guys in the lore, man. I used to see them turn into that camera and just like separate, and I was like, man, and because he was the only healer I had that was usable in wars for so long, I really loved him in game as well, and I really wish they would do something. But I think that ship might have sailed. I mean, he's already got a G1, he's already got an ability 11. I was like, what do they do unless it's an all-out rework? So I think he's just gonna sit there and rot him in first aid. But cool. So, but that's what I want to talk about with the healers and stuff like that. Like I said, I like how unique all the healers have been are, and I wish they were a little bit more equal so that we could kind of use them. Like, if they would have made the ability 11 like immune to FFD for Reflector and first aid, it wouldn't be a great healer, but it would be better than what we got. So So Muhammad Terminator says help the needs help with the best prime core for Quellagon. Man, it's got to be the Amalgamous Prime core, man. If you get the Amalgamous Prime core, use it on him because it makes him an absolute monster. And you can use them on both sides, offense and defense, like that. 100%. Matt Poley says, never say never. They changed the animation for Blaster and the Minion in the viewing gallery. They could do that for Reflector. I mean, yeah, you know what? You're right. I probably shouldn't say never. I'm just not going to hold my breath over it. All right, so moving on. So the next thing I want to talk about is I want to talk about a prime core. And the prime core that I want to talk about is, I actually want to talk about this one. I want to talk about that Megatronus core. Now, when we first got Megatronus, before they wound up giving, the apes wound up giving it a buff, it was one that everybody would kind of ignore when it first got released with HQ18 Phase 1. But now, it's become a focal point, man, of, for me, defensively. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna switch over to the live server where I've got my actual my regular in-game account, and I'm gonna switch over to the lab real quick while I get that set up. But man, like, really like this thing, man. Like, the Megatronus core has actually become, all right, so you always gonna have Liege. It's probably my second favorite prime core now, behind Liege, on the defensive side at least. But yeah, man, and the big issue for me regarding this core is, man, I'm having a hard time getting my blue stacks to work. Give me a moment. But while I do that, so for that Megatronus core, the biggest thing for me that I want to talk about today is making sure that you have it on an unhackable defense. And I get it. I've seen a lot of people just go throw that Megatronus core on just some random defense, but it's actually going to hurt you because it can be hacked and it'll tear up all of your own stuff. So what I started doing, and you guys probably saw me install it, I put it on my MDS, and I'm going to show you why I put it on my MDS. And I'm starting to see more people do that, but it's a very, very good reason for it. So we're going to talk about that. So while we waiting for this to load, for those of you who got the Megatronus defensive core, where do you have it equipped and why? Let me know in the comments. So let's see. All right. All right, so this is my live account. And honestly, I got a base right now that I'm really, really happy with. And I just got to keep working on my cores and walls and stuff like that. So this is my live server base. Same thing, Megatronus core, level 17. And right here, I've kind of created a little bit of a choke point. What I've done is I've taken my Nemesis Prime, that's hot rod for you guys on the Autobot side. And what happens is, and I'll actually run a base trial so you can use it as an example. But what happens is he will actually drop his shield onto one of those two. Excuse me, he'll drop his shield on one of those two defenses next to him. So it makes for a really, really strong defense. You can't do anything to destroy it during those 16.5 seconds with his maxed out ability 11. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Thundercracker and Ravage here just to try to go pop Nemesis Prime out of that outpost, just so you can see what happens. All right, so that outpost gets popped, and watch him use that ability. So in this case, he uses it on the shock tower next to him, which that shock tower is where I put my Liege Core. And so my Liege Core, now you can't destroy it. Now, depending on what angle I take and what angle he pops out at, he's either gonna shield that Liege Maximal Core, or he's gonna shield that Megatronus Core. Either one's gonna do a really, really good job. So what I've designed this for is to kind of create that choke point there. They're not gonna be able to do any damage to Nemesis Prime or Hot Rod if you use him in that outpost. And so he's just gonna kind of hold you up there for 16 seconds. Then when you go back and you look at this base trial and you look at the range on the Megatronus Core, it's gonna sit there and it's just gonna burn those guys up while they're sitting there pounding on that wall or pounding on Nemesis Prime or Hot Rod. All right, so I'm looking in the comments and I'm seeing how people use that Megatronus Core. So Muhammad Terminator says he uses his on the mission, the missile launcher. I'll actually use that as an example in a minute and tell you why you shouldn't do that. Chris Harmon uses it on the shock tower. Avenger Prime uses it on the shock tower. And he says, but yeah, Avenger Prime kind of sees my point. And we'll talk about that, but it's percentage based. And so when I look at something percentage based and I have to choose, so if we're looking at unhackable defenses, there's only two that I can think of that we should use. So that's going to be your shock towers through the use of your Titan tech tree. And then that's also going to be your multi-defense system or your MDS. So for me, when I'm looking at something percentage based, I want to use it on the most damaging thing possible. I put it into my healing shielded cluster, and it is causing absolute chaos. But what I want you to focus on when you look at Megatronus and you look at the little aura that comes out from it, that's the range of what you're going to actually set on fire. Man, it's coming all the way down here to this Bill bot down there on the bottom. You still got to fight all of my outpost bots. You still got to fight your way through just all the different stuff that I got at the bottom of the screen, and you're getting burnt the entire time that you're doing that. Now, on top of that, let's talk about the build that I've used for my Nemesis Prime. And most of you have seen it before. You've been watching me for a while. But I got Fracas on that Joker. So now you got acid and fire mixing up the entire time. You want to talk about, if you want to watch some attackers die, this is how you watch attackers die, bro. Like, they just get held up right there at that point of attack. And we'll pull a replay. I mean, and I lose sometimes. Everybody gonna have their fair share of losses. But let's take a look at this one from earlier today. I can't remember what this one looked like, but we'll take a look and you can actually see it in action. Because right now I'm not at war, trying to work out some alliance moves. Matt Poley says that Hot Rod can be fun if you have him set to make an FFD. Build bot immune, catches players out. Yeah, and the thing is, what I usually do is I find a way to take out an FFD early. I'll use one of my jets for that. Oh, actually, that's me attacking, isn't it? Yeah, that's me attacking. I need to go to defense. I was in there playing around. I've been playing around a little bit with Scavenger. I've been playing around with him a little bit because I've been training a little bit with Texas Hammer, and he keeps getting on me for not using my Scavenger or Rust Dust for you guys on the Autobot side. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try it. I ran into a situation where I was just like, man, Tex was right. So I probably need to use this, and I wind up dropping some points, but I wind up winning the battle after I put Scavenger into my lineup. So that's what I've been practicing with on offense, but that's what that was. All right, so as most you see with a lot of times, team or squad approaching from the left. Now just watch. Now here, he actually goes for the Mega Rush to try to go around all that stuff, which works well. But he's still in that zone right there where he's getting hit by the MDS. If you look at the, if you look at that core, that Megatron is core, it's already burning these guys up, and it's expediting the damage that gets done to his team. You can already see most of those guys are on fire, and it's a wrap after that. So that's what I've been doing to get additional damage defensively as part of the shielded cluster. It works. Let's see. Matt Polly's running the same setup. Micronus defense cool, bot core working together. And like I think the last time I was live streaming, one of the things I was talking about, man, is like these shock towers are the MVP of phase 2, in my opinion. They're just so durable, which is why I ran my Liege core up there, my Micronus core. I want to make that be the last thing that you get off of that map. And if you get through that, then you deserve to win. You know what I mean? So and on top of that, not being hackable. Let's see. But that's what I was looking at. Now, going back, now I'm gonna actually switch out of here, and I'm gonna switch back to the lab for a second, and then I'm gonna go back to my test account because I'm not swapping cores on my main account. And we'll go back to the test server, and we will take a look at the Megatronus core on hackable defenses and why we shouldn't do it. That's not what I want. But cool. Keeps giving me 2 screens when I do that, and that's not what I want. All right, so let's see. LJ Gav saying he got to get that 5-star scavenger. It's good. Now, here's the thing, and I've been telling a lot of people, I'm not going to chase that bot, but if I do already have them, and I already had them from chasing other bots, yeah, I'll level him up for the purpose of comboing him in the asset meta 100%. Definitely nothing wrong with that. And for me, I've been getting stuck on a lot of the really strong front loaded bases where it's a lot of where it's just like a lot of walls and stuff. So I've been using him knockout and asset storm to just plow through some of those walls faster and get to the healing cluster. All right, so I'm back into my test account. We'll switch back over to the game screen. All right, so we are going to find, so I just so happen to have a missile launcher right here. I'm going to take this missile launcher and I'm going to put the Megatronus core on it. This is a test server, so like we accidentally got more than one prime core. That's why I got 2 Megatronus cores and stuff like that. Pay that no mind. We can only use one. So if I were to go in here and attack, and I'm going to attack my own base in base trial, what you're going to see is this is now going to be hackable. And all that damage that I was just showing you doing to the opposing team, it's now going to happen to your bots. It's just like a really, just not a good idea to, and I get it. A lot of people will put their, you don't want to change the healing cluster you had. A lot of us had, we had self-repair cores and stuff on the MDS, and you know, whatever healing. We know we had different stuff on the MDS. We didn't want to change it. We didn't want to change, you know, if we had like target protocols on mortars and stuff like that. So we just kind of just stick some of these cores wherever we get an open spot, right? So let's try this. Purple Crimson, right? We can go up here, we're gonna deploy a block. Let's run this Purple Crimson on Megatronus. Hmm? Yeah. It didn't look like it did anything. So what I'll do is I'll actually go back. I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna go use Dirge. All right, and LJ Gaff taking off for the night. Hey man, thanks for joining us tonight, man. And I'll talk to you later on, buddy. Let me go in here and now go to my jets and I'll go get Dirge. Because the point that I want to make is that when you go in there and you go hack the Megatron is cool, it's gonna tear up all your own stuff. And that's bad. So Shock Towers cool. Shock Towers just don't have the damage that you're gonna have on, doesn't have the damage that you're gonna have on like anything else on a MDS. Yeah, you can actually see that it's doing damage over here. Like you look at the auto cannons, it's starting to do damage to its own stuff. So to avoid that, put it on something that's unhackable and you're good to go. Yeah, and you said I got the anti-hack core. Man, I honestly forgot what I put up there on my stuff. On my test account. But that's a good point though. It makes you have to go use your it makes you have to go use build bots to try to go and protect your other items. And I saw some people actually do it. So but yeah, to your point, Blue Grimlock, Bombshell with the G1s, Nasty Hack. It's a lot of different options that go in there to come into play. But that's what I was kind of looking at, and that's why I kind of ran on an MDS, because the MDS is got, you know, great damage. And to be honest, man, we still are at some point are going to be due for a MDS upgrade, possibly with phase 3, I would imagine. So yeah, so that's my little tip for that. And finally, let's take a look at these new bots. I know you guys been waiting around to see these new bots, right? So we'll go look in the showroom first. So new bot's going to be a warrior class bot, right? We'll take a look at it. So this is Scylla. I'm actually going to back out for a second because I want to go and look at the bot in the showroom before I actually go look at the gameplay. So this started out as a special class bot. Obviously, with your special class bots, the damage isn't as high. I mean, the health isn't as high. And so what we started talking about in playtest is we started talking about giving it more health. They tried it, health still wasn't as good as most of us would have preferred. So they said, hey, made some reworks. They said, let's make it a warrior class bot. And I said, all right, bet. Now check this out. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the stats might still get played around with a little bit, but this is what Space Ape said that they were signing off on. They said there will only be minor tweaks from this point going forward. So get your screenshots ready. This is what it looks like. And I'm very, very, very pleased with this bot so far. So right now I just got Baru up there just kind of as like a placeholder. But looking at it damage wise, I'll actually go into the breakdown. So it's starting off with base damage of 376.6. Um, you know, when you add power cores and perks and everything, it goes up a little bit, but not bad for a warrior class in terms of damage when you go equip it a certain way, right? But what really gets me here is that health. That health is absolutely amazing. I don't think we've ever seen health this high on any bot in the past. And so the ability, the Death Kiss. So it says mark a building with a beacon, and allies within that beacon's pulse will attack that building for 15 seconds. If the building's destroyed during that time, allies within the pulse receive a 30% damage increase and damage reduction. With the ability 11, you actually get damage reduction to your team. So let's take a look at that. But well, let's look at the Autobot version real quick too, just like the showcase version, which is going to be Ariel. Actually, but man, both of these bots from a concept art standpoint look really amazing. But let's take this one to the battlefield. We'll take a look at Scylla and see what that ability does. Like, and it's cool for me because I've always been a huge fan of like support type bots. But this is just really good, man. Like I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I'm considering, I've only gone for one 5-star endurance bot. I'm considering going for this bot. And of course I would get Texas. I would get him as my first one. So he'll probably talk trash to me a little bit later on. He's like, hey man, what were you doing? But I just want to demonstrate the ability. But so here you deploy, I'm just going to deploy the whole team, use that ability. And all you got to do, if you're using it for like a walk team purpose, destroy that building and they're just going to get an attack boost. You can see it's got like a little shield up there because with the ability 11, it's got a damage reduction. And you know, they got hacked in this case. But I mean, it's really going to speed those walk teams along. I think it's going to be a really good bot, man. I think it's a war-worthy bot. I do think it's a little bit playstyle dependent. So Blue Grimlock says maybe good with Motor Master. I'll tell you what, man. There was a point in time where I was doing a video and I was just talking about like, I did a video and it's called All Speed Team, I think is what I called it. And all that had was attack boosters and speed boosters. And something like this would fit perfect in something in a team like that. When you start pairing it up with other attack boosters, I start to think about Rodimus Unicronus and Inferno. I start thinking about like Motor Master, stuff like that, where you can try to get this stuff to stack. And my friend Michael Mancini joins. Thanks for joining. But yeah, the Autobot version is Ariel. Chris Harmon, and we were talking about this in playtest a little bit. He wants to get like a acid beacon or the stop healing. But yeah, I mean, I think that it's not a bad idea. It's just that, you know, they gotta give people something to chase, and right now people are still chasing all the other acid bots, and I don't got a problem with that. I think that with acid being the meta, have a few bots that people gonna want to chase. So right now people gonna want to chase. If they don't already have acid storm, knockout is get ready to be in this batch. You got to give them some incentive, and if you just keep making new bots on top of new bots to do the similar things, then there is less incentive to chase. Uh, Trap, who was also in playtest, says the time that Chris Harmon suggested was broken. And then Alpha Trion 1 says add that the Prime bombing Optimus Prime, Rodimus Prime Inferno. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. With this new bot. Yeah, I have to agree with you. So cool, man. Yeah, so we got a couple minutes left. Let me go back to the lab. And I don't know, man. Guys were asking for a giveaway. Should I do a giveaway? What do you guys think? I got a couple minutes left. I think I can do a giveaway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back to my live account, right? I have not opened any of I've not opened any of my event combat for the combat. I've not opened up any of those crystals. So let's say I open up 50. I open up 50 of my crystals right now. How many tell me how many 3 stars and how many 4 stars do you think I'll get? And I said, if you can get that right, then I will give you guys a Freezy chest. So let's go back over to my main accounts. And yeah. All right, so go ahead and put that in the chat. So I'm talking about for these. Now I'll show you which ones I'm talking about. So yeah, I didn't touch any of these, man. So I don't even know if I got that 4-star Bido or not. So just tell me how many 4 stars, how many 3 stars in the chat. And you know, I'll give out a couple of Freezy chests if you get it right. So yeah, I'll give you a couple minutes to do that. Let's see. But yeah, man, that's like I'll be honest with you. I'm probably not gonna use this 4-star. Well, first off, I'm definitely not gonna use the 4-star because I only got a 4-star Wheeljack. That's the best I got for him. So I think that I'll hold off. Maybe I'll get Wheeljack in the future. Trap says if he wins, he's gonna give his to someone else. Now keep in mind, I said I'm gonna open 50. I'm gonna open 50. So Mercenary Terror said he didn't get the Freeziest chest from like 2 months ago. I thought you said you did get that one. I did. I gave it. It took me a long time, but I sent you one in that link. That's what that link was. I have to send you another one then since you didn't get it. Blue Grimlock asked the question, how many crystals? I'm gonna open 50. So I'm gonna do this 5 times. And then all you gotta do if you win is just hit me up on Discord and I will send you the chest. I know a couple of you guys ain't got Discord, so I was like I'll work that out as well. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and close that off. So here we go. I'm gonna open up the first 10. And I kind of like these events because in these events, you wind up, and that's my first 3-star. You just get so much stuff related to combat bots. You get all the spark. You get all the dupes. So right now, after open, we a 5th of the way through, I got a 3-star and I got a 2-star. All right, so next one. Got another 3-star and another 2-star. All right, so we got 3 more to go. Oops, I hit the skip sequence button. I didn't get any Bidos on this one, just got combat chip shards, which honestly I'm not upset about. All right, so we got 3 more 2-stars. Now we're, what's that? 5 2-stars and 2 3-stars. All right, and we got another 2-star and another 3-star. So what's that? 6 2-stars and 3 3-stars. So let me look in the chat and see, did anybody actually get that already? And if you did, and if not, we'll see who was the closest. All right, let's see. Alphatron 1 had 9 3-stars, 12. Let's see. Looks like Robert C4 might have been the closest. But if I'm wrong, let me know. I think Robert C4 was probably the closest. But cool, man. Yeah, like so Robert C4 hit me up. Hold on. Let's see. So 3 3-stars. All right, cool. So yeah, like if you get that right, like I said, hit me up. Robert C4 was pretty close. Hit me up in Discord and I will give you the Freezy chest. Chris Harmon says he got it. Yeah, so Chris Harmon got it. All right, so I mean, so Chris Harmon got it. So here's what I'll do. I'll give Chris 2 Freezy chests. I'll give Robert 1 Freezy chest for getting close. And then Chris Harmon got it all the way. So I'll give him 2. So cool. And I'll try to start doing more of these, man. I got a lot of links left, man. So and Venger got it also. So I'll give Venger 2. Cool, man. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and take me off. Like I said, for you guys that I got up there as winners, hit me up on Discord and I will give you your chest. And I will see you guys next week on the live stream. And I will see you on the battlefield. Freezy out.